What happens when the foundation of your beliefs crumbles? How do you find meaning in a world where the divine no longer dictates morality? Friedrich Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead strikes at the heart of these existential questions, shaking the very core of Western thought. This provocative statement isn't just about the decline of religious faith, it's a powerful reflection on the collapse of traditional values and the profound crisis that follows. Nietzsche challenges us to confront this void, urging us to create new values in a world where old certainties have vanished. This video delves into the meaning behind Nietzsche's words, their implications for Western morality, and the existential challenge posed by the resulting void. When Nietzsche declared God is dead in The Gay Science and later in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he wasn't suggesting that a deity had literally died. Rather, it represents a profound cultural shift, rooted in the gradual decline of religious authority following the Enlightenment. This period marked a significant transition in human thought, where scientific inquiry, rationalism, and humanism began to overshadow religious explanations of the universe. As reason and evidence took precedence over faith, the Christian God, once seen as the ultimate source of moral authority, began to lose its grip on the collective consciousness. The Enlightenment was a catalyst for this change, promoting ideals of individualism, skepticism, and intellectual freedom. Over centuries, these values permeated society, leading to a cultural environment where reliance on religious dogma diminished. By the time Nietzsche made his proclamation, the decline of belief in God had reached a critical point, where the concept of a divine being as the foundation of moral and existential certainty had become increasingly untenable. Nietzsche's statement was not merely an observation, but a recognition of a reality that had been developing for centuries. The metaphorical death of God signaled the end of an era where universal moral truths were grounded in religious belief. It called attention to the need for new frameworks of meaning and morality in a world where the old certainties no longer held sway. Nietzsche's assertion of the death of God wasn't just a bold statement. It was a harbinger of the collapse of the moral structure that had upheld Western civilization for centuries. With the Christian God no longer recognized as the ultimate source of moral authority, the Judeo-Christian values that had shaped ethics, law, and social norms began to lose their foundation. Nietzsche saw this unraveling as a potential existential crisis for humanity. The stability provided by these long-standing values was now in jeopardy. The moral compass that once guided individuals and societies was no longer reliable, leaving a void that had to be filled. Nietzsche didn't view this collapse as a moment for celebration, but as a profound concern. The disappearance of divine authority forced humanity into a precarious position, where established principles and values were suddenly open to question. In this new reality, Nietzsche posed difficult questions. What becomes of morality when its divine foundation is removed? How should individuals decide what is right or wrong, good or evil, in a world where absolute truth no longer exists? Nietzsche warned that without a new foundation for morality, society could descend into chaos, with individuals struggling to find meaning and purpose in a world stripped of inherent value. The death of God was not just the end of a belief system, it was the beginning of a profound moral and existential dilemma. Nietzsche's exploration of nihilism and the subsequent emergence of the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman, is central to understanding his response to the existential crisis triggered by the death of God. Nietzsche's concept of the revaluation of all values demands a radical re-examination of inherited moral systems. This re-evaluation is not merely an intellectual exercise, but a profound existential task that forces individuals to confront the void left by the collapse of divine authority. In Nietzsche's view, the death of God creates a vacuum where traditional values, once grounded in religious belief, no longer hold sway. These values, spanning ethics, laws, and social norms, were once seen as absolute truths derived from divine authority. With God's death, this divine justification evaporates, leaving individuals and societies to grapple with the consequences. Nietzsche warns that without a new set of values, this void can lead to nihilism, a condition where life is perceived as meaningless and directionless. In such a state, individuals might experience a pervasive sense of futility and despair, as the moral compass that once guided them is now absent. Nihilism represents a critical challenge in Nietzsche's philosophy. It is not just an emotional or psychological state, but a profound crisis that threatens to undermine the very foundation of human life and meaning. Nietzsche does not view nihilism as an insurmountable problem, but as a transitional phase, a necessary stage in the evolution of human thought and values. He recognizes the despair and disorientation that accompany this phase, but insists that it can lead to something transformative and empowering. The key to overcoming nihilism lies in Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch. The Übermensch is not merely a superior individual in terms of strength or intelligence, but a new kind of human being who redefines what it means to live a meaningful life in a post-religious world. This figure transcends the limitations imposed by traditional morality and creates new values based on personal affirmation and creativity. For Nietzsche, the Übermensch embodies the ideal response to the existential crisis posed by the death of God. Unlike individuals who cling to outdated moral frameworks or succumb to nihilistic despair, the Übermensch embraces the freedom to define their own purpose and meaning. This involves a process of self-overcoming, where one continually strives to surpass previous limitations and assumptions. By doing so, the Übermensch affirms life in all its complexity and uncertainty, rather than seeking solace in rigid external moral codes. The Übermensch represents a departure from conventional moral thinking. Instead of relying on external authorities, be they religious, societal, or philosophical, the Übermensch draws upon an inner well of creativity and strength to shape their moral universe. This approach requires an intense personal commitment to creating values that resonate with one's own experiences and aspirations. It is not about rejecting all forms of morality, but about reimagining what it means to live a good and meaningful life in the absence of divine sanction. Nietzsche's call for the creation of new values is a challenge to embrace the uncertainty of existence and to find meaning through personal determination and creativity. It invites individuals to engage actively in the act of value creation, to explore new ways of living that affirm life and its complexities. This process of redefining morality and meaning is central to Nietzsche's vision for humanity and reflects his belief in the potential for human growth and transformation in the face of profound existential challenges. Friedrich Nietzsche's proclamation of the death of God represents both a profound crisis and a profound opportunity for humanity. This declaration signifies the collapse of the long-held religious and metaphysical frameworks that have traditionally underpinned Western moral and cultural values. The crisis lies in the recognition that these values, once seen as universal and immutable, are no longer sustainable in a world where the belief in a divine authority has waned. This realization exposes the precariousness of moral structures that were once considered absolute and eternal. However, Nietzsche also saw this as an unprecedented opportunity. The absence of a divine anchor allows for the possibility of creating new values from the ground up. This process, according to Nietzsche, involves a radical reevaluation of the principles that govern human life and behavior. Rather than succumbing to nihilism, the belief that life is inherently meaningless in the absence of a higher power, individuals are challenged to take an active role in crafting their own moral frameworks. This requires courage, creativity, and a profound engagement with one's personal values and goals. Nietzsche contends that the death of God should not be seen as leading to a moral vacuum, but rather as a transformative moment. It is a call to affirm life itself, to embrace its inherent uncertainties and complexities, and to build a morality that reflects the richness of human experience rather than relying on external authorities. By doing so, humanity can transcend the despair associated with nihilism and reach a higher state of existence, characterized by a dynamic sense of purpose and vitality that emerges from within each individual. In this new paradigm, values are not imposed, but are actively chosen and created, leading to a more authentic and empowered human experience. Friedrich Nietzsche's proclamation that God is dead is a powerful statement about the decline of religious belief and its implications for Western morality. It reflects the challenges and opportunities of living in a world where traditional sources of meaning and authority have lost their power. Nietzsche's philosophy urges us to confront the existential crisis posed by the death of God and to find new ways of creating value in our lives. Through the figure of the Übermensch, Nietzsche offers a vision of humanity that is capable of transcending old moralities and embracing the freedom to define its own destiny.